Just test. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Andrew.
Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and we are not sponsored by Lucky Duck Games, but we sure wish we were. Anyways, we're going to do a review today of It's a Wonderful World. 1 to 5 players, 45 minutes, says 14 and up. But I think you could play this with younger if you really wanted to, because it's not overly complicated to learn.
Sure.
There's a lot of strategy in here.
Yes.
Just a brief overview on how the game plays. Essentially, you're gonna be taking turns drafting cards. Everybody's going to get 7 cards, at least in the 4-player version of the game. And then you are going, excuse me, when you're done drafting cards, you're going to decide what you're going to do with them. You might use it for recycling, which would be this little thing here, which means basically you just get rid of it right away. You get the cube or the item shown, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can place it and you're going to try to build it, which then as you generate and produce cubes, you're going to throw the correct color cube.
Yeah, I was like, now that color
on there, right? And then once it is complete, you can immediately build it. So then maybe in a future round or even that round, later on in that round, you can produce
what it says.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. It goes through 4 rounds. I guess after the super important, I guess before we go too far, once you've decided what cards you're going to do and you're going to produce, you're going to go through and everybody's going to count up how much they produce, and we're just going to go right in order, right? You go gray, who makes the most grays? If that was Bob, he would get this bonus if he does make the most. So he'd get one of those guys. That's a victory point. And then you do the same thing with the black cubes, the green cubes, the yellow cubes, and the blue cubes. So if I use my black and gray cubes, for example, to finish something that gives me one of these other color cubes later on, it's now in my production row and I can fire it up and use it for production. I really like sort of that chain reaction sort of mechanic that they build in there.
Right. It lets you build down the line, something you've already built. Yeah.
Right.
Produces.
And then at the end of the game, you're potentially going to have multipliers like my character here, my Aztec Empire. I had ×3 for every blue building that I built. And then there's all kinds of stuff. There's like a multiplier for each of these ladies. Dan was running one where he would have a multiplier for the blue guys? Red guys.
I was the blue.
You were the blue ones. Yeah. And I was going to give you a hard time about like how'd that work out for you because
it worked out pretty good.
Because you did not think he was winning or doing very well.
I had no points the whole game, and then I got 2 important cards in the last round. Yeah.
So we did not hate draft enough.
No, yeah, absolutely. Which is in this game we'll talk about later, but not strong anyway.
Yeah. So anyways, then that's it. You go through the score. It plays over the course of 4 rounds. It does kind of this fun thing where rounds 1 and 3, you're passing to the left, and then rounds 2 and 4, you're passing to the right.
Which is nothing spectacular.
No, it's fine.
But it's good, though.
It's just
that way
good.
you're not
It
passing
mixes up the hate drafting
Correct.
and everything like that, and who's taken before me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so if like Dan's going for green and I'm trying to go for green, well, he's not passing me very many greens.
Right, exactly. But then next round, okay, I don't have to deal with that as much, right?
Yeah, so I mean, those are all things to consider. Let's talk about components. What's in the box? Guys, I did all the talking on the gameplay. What are your guys' thoughts on components?
I really like the look of this game. I like the cubes and the way they're easily represented by the icons to where you have the 3D cubes here, right? But then inside the 3D cubes is very clear iconography. I don't know how the lighting and everything's going to work for you there. But yeah, that's really nice. You were pointing out it's a little weird that the board is a 2-part board instead of a folding board to you. That's just like a weird thing. But whatever makes it easy and cheap to get in the box, I guess, right? Nothing wrong with these guys, right?
No.
Yeah,
simple token.
Decent millimeter thickness, so they're not like warping or nothing.
There's nothing you need instead of these.
Correct.
These do exactly what they need to do.
Right. The main thing to talk about components-wise, 2 things I think are iconography and card quality, and I think they're both great.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anything else really to mention.
Artwork's really good on the cards.
That's a good point.
The names and the titles of the cards are kind of funny. You can find some jokes in there.
Sure.
So
I think it's. We should mention also, like, even though there are reds and greens, the reds aren't they're different. They're like the green and the black. Honestly, I had a little bit of a
they're
tough
the
time
closest?
because if it's a little dark, the green might look dark enough to be a black one.
Okay.
But side by side, it's easy to tell them apart.
Sure.
And the reds are red enough that they don't quite match the green, so I didn't have that difficult of a time. Plus, like Dan was saying, the icons are super helpful too.
Right.
And then two more things really quick is we always talk rulebook and insert. So Tim,
Oh.
you have the most.
Yeah. So the rule book, I mean, it is
Couple of pages.
It is a couple of pages,
lot
and
of
most of
size.
those pages are the solo mode or 2-player. So, I mean, it's really, and the solo mode is just scenarios. So, I mean, it's really straightforward. This is very easy to learn. I feel like very easy to teach. The insert is
Oh, it's a fantasy flight insert.
arbitrary. No, it has 4
Oh,
rows.
4 instead
Hold
of
on,
2. I'm
where's the
sorry.
insert? Is it under this thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Not anything to like blow you away, but I don't know that a game like this
Needs it.
needs it because you're bagging up your bits, you're throwing them back in the box, and you're probably going to throw your cards in a bag and put them in a box as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just going to compliment the artwork. I love cards that have clear, different sides.
Oh, right.
So that, like, if
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're putting your cards away and you see blue,
Yeah, you
can
just
just
play.
It's
boom,
very
and split.
easy
You
to
can
get them
just-
back.
Yeah.
Back,
'Cause
yeah.
That's how
They
I do it.
all have to go the same direction.
I agree. I agree. I know you weren't being
I
sarcastic at all.
actually do think that 100%. Just take the 10 seconds it takes to rotate your cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't mention it, but you guys are right. I enjoy the artwork quite a bit. I love the utopian world here, almost Sky Captain in the world of
little
tomorrow
bit.
kind of artwork
Little
looking
bit.
there. And yeah, I enjoy that. Again, the main thing for me though, especially in an engine building game like this, is the iconography, and I think they do a fantastic job.
yeah.
Didn't really feel immersed in the theme though. I
No.
felt
Sure.
like the cards were just individually thematic. I didn't feel like I was part of a
I do
of a dystopian,
Of this wonderful world.
Yeah, yeah.
I do think that if you like laid all the yellow cards together and laid all the blue cards together, they would all
Sure.
be thematically related from
Yeah.
what I've seen.
Yeah.
But you're right that doesn't matter at all in gameplay, especially because it's such a fast engine building game that you
Yep.
don't even have time or the want to sit and look at the cards. You're just looking at the icons and playing the best engine you can. And
You're trying to find out how many yellow cubes you're making so
Right.
that you can
Yes.
build more yellow
and how many yellow cubes
cube.
everyone else is making so that
Yeah.
you can beat them.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not even like, oh, yellow is money, and then, like the
Right.
black ones are like a power,
Right,
know.
but it is that, right?
But it is
the
that.
theme is there if you want to sit
you
and look
want
at
it.
the cards, but
If-
you will not notice unless you try.
if you want it. Okay, so that's pretty much it on components. Now we're going to each go around and give our final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Bobby, why don't you give us your final thoughts first?
I enjoy it. It's an engine builder. The thing with engine builders is I always want them to be longer, right? Because like you start to get that engine going and then it's over.
Yep.
It's like, no, I want that engine to hum for a few turns. So I think an extra turn or two would be good because like the first one I always end up planning and then I'm trying to feed that going on and I just don't get a lot of turns with the engine. But I mean, I enjoy it overall, but I would probably, since this does play quick, I would like to see another round or two.
Oh,
on
sure.
there.
Sure.
So I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right? People say like, well, if you want more
Wanted
rounds,
more.
it's a good sign of a,
Yeah.
of a good game.
I would
so.
say it does not overstay its welcome, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep. But I do think it's better at higher player counts. We played it at 2 players, and the drafting is you're just kind of handing piles back and forth. But the higher player count, the better I think the game gets.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Andrew.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it really is a 45-minute game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not your game of the night, but it's a game I would love to like start the night with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very friendly to people who are just getting into gaming, I would say, in my opinion, because it is a little overwhelming with your choices.
Oh,
You've
sure.
got 7 cards in front of you, and then you've got 7 that you can build from, and it's like, wow, that's a lot.
It can be a little overwhelming. Yeah.
Maybe it was just the first playthrough of it, but I think by round 3 I was, pardon my voice, by the way, it is gone. I'd say by round 3 I felt like my engine was going, but I did want a couple more rounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's-
make it an hour-long game
Right.
with 5 rounds.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, and really, right? I mean, I don't even know that another round would push it to an hour, right? Because
Yeah.
the
Right.
rounds can go so
Well,
fast.
especially because it would be a late game round then,
You
which
know,
would
you know what cards you're looking
you already
for.
have your
Yeah.
engine
Yeah.
built.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Daniel.
I enjoy the game quite a bit. I differ slightly in the opinion of the needing a longer game, just because I think that it's an engine building game that just wants you to play slightly differently, which is don't just have a faster first round. Right, you can easily get 1 or 2 cards produced in round 1 and instantly start your engine, and it makes the game feel way faster. And I think that if you just try that, you'll feel differently. Like I just know the couple times I've played with Bob, you tend to in engine building games set up hardcore for the future. Like the first round of the game, you had nothing produced at all. You had like 7 cards in front of you were working on. And in other engine building games, that works. And in this one, the game is just showing you while that can work, it's going to make the game feel slower for you at the beginning. So I just think the game is trying to get you to produce those small ones at first and see how exponential growth you gain.
Let me just sum up for Dan.
Okay.
Play better.
Right. I would never say that because I'm not a jerk.
Oh, well, you're a jerk. Just stop saying that.
In this situation, I am not. A big thing that I like too is everyone. So you can either have everyone start with the same production, or they have asymmetric production.
And if you know us, we don't even ask. We just do asymmetric production.
I think the game is
didn't even know there was an
dramatically better.
I didn't know that either.
I think the game is dramatically better with asymmetric production.
It was not an option. We were just playing with asymmetric.
Yeah, because having everyone have the same one, the whole winning productions become slightly more boring,
Yeah.
at least at
Especially
the
the
beginning.
early rounds.
Yeah, you
right?
have to really push to try to do those at the beginning. And I just, the point to this game is picking a strategy and going with it. Like what you were saying, there's so many options in the game.
Yeah.
There are, but you're not supposed to try to go for all those options, right? You literally, you look at what your asymmetric stuff is and you look at your first hand and you say, that's what I'm going for. And then you just kind of build towards that.
With that, you were blue.
Yeah,
I didn't want blue. I was gold. Everyone, for the most part, avoided gold. In the asymmetric realm, I do want a little bit of an overlap.
Oh, sure.
Like,
Well,
it felt like we were all kind of going for our own individual, you know.
I think, though, for me, and yes, you're not wrong, but it just so happened there was a bunch of yellow cards that I kept drafting that would give me blue, and I had multiplier set up for building blue buildings.
Gotcha.
And so I don't think you're wrong, like, because I think that can happen, but I think that the way our particular game played out, it's like these are cards I am recycling for their resource and not trying to build, not because, I don't want to compete with you. It's just that I never needed anything that made yellow, right? You know, or whatever, or what those cards were giving me. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that for me, like my mental strategy was never really competing as much as like when I was playing, I'm drafting what I need to try to build up.
Yep. I wasn't really
my
paying
own
attention
stuff.
to what other people were doing.
Yeah,
I was just trying to
but
build
again,
my
though,
engine.
that kind of goes back to what Andrew was saying, though, because then now there's not really very much player interaction.
Sure.
Because we are all just so
Focused on
zoned in
thing.
on our own, on our own thing.
I don't think
Go
that
ahead.
that is inherent in the rules, though. I think that that's just a situational luck thing that happened because, like, I've played like 4 times now or something. I don't usually see that. Usually there's a lot more competition in that.
Yeah.
I think it was just situational here. And also for me, the only thing I won the whole game production-wise was, like I started off like the first round, maybe 2, but I think it was just the first round. I won gray because I started off with a bunch of gray and my first hand was gray. So I won that. But then I instantly started losing that, and the only thing I was winning for the rest of the game was green, which I started with none of. I just started taking cards that had green and stuff. So I think that we just happened to branch into other ones, but I could see what you're saying though. And then the last thing I wanted to say was, so I have to bring this up because this could actually affect balancing, is I've now played the game 4 times. I've never lost, and I've done the same strategy every time.
These
And-
ladies?
Well, or the people,
Either
or
one.
the guys.
Or the dudes.
Basically, I just happen to luck into the asymmetric power that works on the people, and then I just draft cards that up the multiplayer on the people, and that's all I do the whole game. I find it fun. I don't find it a boring strategy being pigeonholed into just the people. I find it fun working towards those multipliers and stuff. But I have seen so far that it has a 100% win rate on these guys, and I'm just like, are there too many of those cards in the deck?
Oh, sure.
Like, I don't know. So, and I guess the last thing I'll mention in final thoughts is I have now played the game with all the expansions as well, and I do think it enhances the experience, adds some really cool things. So I would suggest the expansions if you have the base game. They just add really cool negative production cards and just more options and stuff like that. And of course, prettier components, a big box that holds everything really pretty, blah blah blah, right? Like geek boxes or whatever they're called,
Right,
that holds
yeah.
all the cubes
Yeah.
and everything. All that kind of stuff is nice. But if you have the base game and you like it, I would suggest the expansions, which isn't always a guarantee for me. But yeah, I think that's it for final thoughts.
Sure. So I really like engine builders. This was a game for a very long time I dismissed because of the box.
Oh,
Really?
I love it.
I
love
thought I did the same thing with smartphone. I was like, I don't
Which
like.
I also love the box.
Right,
That's
no,
what attracted me.
totally get it.
So
But then I played, like we were at Origins and I knew that we had this for review. Somebody wanted to play it. I'm like, great, we can play it and then we'll be able to review it. So it was a really good opportunity to play it. We had 6 people and we played with Pat and Julia. They had all the expansions and that was my first time playing it, which is one thing I love, and to me is a sign of a good game, is that we just had all of that stuff thrown in. I didn't really care or could tell what was different.
Expansion and what wasn't.
It all just meshed perfectly. I think there might have been one time we had a question and somebody was like, "Oh, that's from the expansion," but the answer was just like right there. It's something we say a lot. It plays like you think it should.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very intuitive.
Yeah.
I like Seven Wonders. Don't love it. This would like. Now that I play this, if I never play Seven Wonders again, I am perfectly fine. Seven Wonders does some things very well, but something I get what you're saying, Andrew, but I kind of disagree with you, is that I think that this is a game that I would get somebody to play before Seven Wonders, and I consider Seven Wonders a
Interesting.
gateway game.
Yeah.
Because maybe because it's like an evergreen foundational game. It's been around forever, and it deserves all the accolades and everything that it
course.
gets. But for me, I feel like this was more appealing. I think now to get good at it, yes, you are going to. There's a lot of choices, but I mean, for the most part, the ease of teach, and
I can respect the fact that this is just 5 colors instead of like wood or
Right.
blue cards or just victory points. Like
yeah,
in Seven
but only
Wonders.
if you get them in certain ways, and then
Yeah.
the red cards are only
right,
good
and
if
then
you have
they
majorities.
Also, the prerequisites that you proc and
Yes.
everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this
I see what you're saying.
This to me is easier to teach. I had more fun playing, and again, I like Seven Wonders, but for me, this just scratched like a lot of itches. I love a great engine builder with tough decisions, especially if I can play it in under an hour. Like that's a rare bird.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you that it, like one more turn,
Right.
but also
Right.
that doesn't kill the game for me
Sure.
because. When I played last time, Dan, I had a bunch of buildings that I was going to build, but I had a bunch of cheap ones to start off with, and I was able to have a couple buildings built in the first round when we played last time, and so I did have a little bit more of an engine, and then I had like all these lofty goals, and both times I played, I was able to build all of my buildings. I built a ton of buildings, and I mean, by the end of the game, I felt like the only bad thing was that like a lot of my production was maybe going to nothing because I had built up my stuff.
Which then goes
Yeah.
to wild cubes, which is nice.
Right. But, like both times I played, that kind of happened, but I wasn't sour about it. I had a really good time, and it's like, okay, I need to like key in on that for when I play in future games, something just to like, pay attention to. But I think early on, there was nothing that was overwhelming or daunting about this that I felt like, oh, I don't know. Like I just had a really good time with this. And I totally get what you're saying. And I'm not saying I would not argue with you about your point because some people are put off by the number of decisions, right?
Right.
Early
Yeah.
on. I get it. And some people, the game's too short. Like I need more rounds.
Right.
Also get it. But sometimes, man, it's like awesome. We sat down, we taught Andrew. Now, Andrew came in watching a video or you read some rules.
Rado.
So, yeah, no,
nice.
it's perfect. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
But we basically did a 1-minute card breakdown.
Yep.
We didn't even do that. You basically said, okay, this does this, and we're like, yep. Also keep this in
Keep
mind.
this in mind, yeah.
Done. The rules teach was done. We played in under an hour.
Yep.
With a teach. And this game really just does a lot of really good things for me. Dan, we're gonna rate this. How does that work? Do you remember? It's been a while.
So as we go into our final rating here, we're all going to give it a 1 through 10. We do use 0.5 just for more variety. And then at the end, we're going to average it all together. That way you get all of our own personal opinions on the game, but then we just have a simplified one score that we can share on Discord, Board Game Geek, stuff like that, because no one wants to hear 27 ratings for a single game.
That is true. Bobby,
Yes.
all that being said, what is your rating?
My rating, I'm going to go with a 7.5.
7.5?
I enjoy the game. I like playing it. I do own it. I don't think I will end up buying all the extra stuff because I think when we get with a big enough group, they're going to have that already.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So you're saying when we play this with Pat and Julia, they've already
Correct.
got
Yeah, there you go. They already got
Got
all the stuff.
Got it.
So, yeah, I'm not terribly worried about that. But, yeah, so about 7.5.
7.5. Right on. Andrew, what do you think?
7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
It had me doing enough math in my head to the point where my last turn did feel good. It felt like I completed almost everything except for.
The one big
Do we
point
have
card.
that?
Oh, the
Yeah.
10-point.
There's
Oh,
like-
the real big card.
There's a few 10-point monsters
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, there is.
And I was so close. So that kind of feeling makes me want to play a game like this again.
There's a
Yeah,
big
there
one.
you go.
There's a big one right there.
So I'm going to go with Bob.
Yeah.
7.5. Artwork, fantastic. Gameplay was good. And I would be intrigued to try out the expansions as well.
Yeah.
Might bump it up to an 8 for me based
Sure.
on. I love is that horizontal expansion where you just you don't
Yeah.
add new stuff, you
Right.
just add
It just increases what's already there.
yeah, like the attack or something. Or maybe I would like to
negative
see
production.
events where like instead of going this way,
Oh,
you
right.
go this way.
Yeah, that
That
would
would
be
change a
that
lot.
would-
wow.
Yeah.
That would be super cool though.
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be super cool.
Oh
Which is-
man, a random event that does that and you're not planning on it would
Yeah.
be huge.
Yeah.
Which is my fatal flaw. I love adding house
Twists.
rules. I
Yeah.
love adding more rules to games. So
Sure. No, me too.
That yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm more excited. Like, can we do that next
Yeah.
time?
Having a
So,
big deck, yeah.
7.5.
Frederick Gerard.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
So yeah,
His
7.
number is 555. 55. Daniel,
That's coincidental.
what's your
So
is that your number 2?
He's giving it a 5.5.
Yeah.
So I enjoy a simple engine builder. I like engine builders. I tend not to love ones that are just card based for some reason. But I do enjoy this game quite a bit. It's funny though hearing everyone's scores because I tended to speak the most highly, I felt, and yet I'm falling on a 7.5.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it's summed up perfectly by what you said. It's a good game. That is where it falls. This isn't the greatest game ever made. It's definitely not a bad game. This is a good game, and it falls in a nice snug 7.5, I think. And I would recommend it to anyone who says they like just engine building.
Yep.
This would be high on the list of ones that I recommend because it's just so pure in the way it does it.
Sure. So for me, again, right, this is almost a new gateway game for me that I can get played a lot. I was going between an 8.5 and a 9 because I enjoyed it that much.
Nice.
I think for me, the 9 would be with all the expansions because it seamlessly adds enough. So I'm going to go with an 8.5. But this is a game that I'm going to play a lot of. To be honest, when we were going to review it, and I knew what after we had played, I'm like, oh, we're playing this again before we review it. Even though that was
right.
before I asked Andrew to come on. Yeah. That was like, even though we've all
just
already
wanted to
played
play
it,
it.
I just wanted to play it again. But I knew it wouldn't take that long. It would take
Right.
like 3 of us. If it was only the 3 of us, it would have taken us maybe a half hour, 40
Which
minutes.
is crazy. 10 minutes per player is what
Yeah.
that would mean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
And
that's crazy.
I love it. That's right in my wheelhouse. So 8.5 for now, but I would say if you care about that sort of thing with the expansions, it's a 9 for me. I really loved It's a Wonderful World.
All right. So if you take all of our scores and you average them together, 7.8.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all again.
We all
I
played
don't-
the same game.
We all,
To use
we all
your-
played the same game.
We all play the same game.
We
catchphrase.
all play the same game. We did. I just liked it more than you guys a little
did?
bit. But
Yeah, I
hey,
guess, yeah.
That's all right. And I still haven't won, but I don't care. Clearly, that doesn't
Best
matter.
kind of game. Yeah.
Okay, maybe. All right, guys. So for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
That was Bob.
Andrew.
Dan.
This was It's a Wonderful World. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.